So this is the video that's going to finish up the notes for rotations. So we're going to start now. Remember, we already did our rotation 90 degrees counterclockwise, so we ended up in quadrant 2. Well, now we're going to, it says we're going to rotate the flag with the points A through E another 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin for a total of 180 degrees. So I want you to underline total of 180 degrees. And if we're going to rotate a total of 180 degrees, and we said earlier that the total amount that you can change in a coordinate grid would be, if I wanted to move the flag a total of 360, that would be a full turn, right? So that makes each one of these quadrants 90 degrees that we can change. So if we want to change 180, how many quadrants are we going to move? Well, we're going to move 2 quadrants. 90 would be 1 quadrant, and 2 quadrants would be 180 degrees. So which quadrant is our pre-image located in? Well, is it located in quadrant 1, or I in Roman numerals? And which quadrant is the image located in? Remember, our pre-image is before, our image is after. So our quadrant, the quadrant it's going to land in is going to be right down here, which is quadrant 3, or I. Okay? So let's take our shape. Remember, we're going to pick up our paper and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay? So every time we rotate, the x's and the y's are going to switch. So it's going to switch one time and switch again, or you can think of the flag being flipped upside down. So now you have your paper upside down, totally upside down, and the x values, so we've got B prime, C prime, D prime, and E prime. So the x and y values we're going to write down over here. So here are all my coordinates that I'm going to write down for B prime, C prime, D prime, and E prime. A prime is going to stay the same because that's the point that we are rotating on. So that's going to be my A prime. Okay? So look at your paper, and what does it look like the new B value is going to be? Well, it looks like it's going to be at a 2, 4, but what do we know about quadrant 3? We know that the x value has to be negative, and so does the y value. So it's going to be at negative 2, 4. And what does it look like C prime is going to be located at? Well, it looks like it's going to be at 5, 4, or negative 5, negative 4. D prime looks like it's going to be located at 6, 6, but both x and y values are negative. And last but not least, E prime is going to be located at 3, 6, which is both are negative. So now we have our answer key, so now we can draw our shape. Okay, B prime is going to be at negative 2, negative 4. Make sure you're labeling as you go. C prime is going to be negative 5, negative 4, which makes sense because B and C are 1, 2, 3 apart. So B prime and C prime should be 3 apart also. D prime is going to be at negative 6, negative 6. And E prime is going to be at negative 3, negative 6. Connect your lines. Use a ruler if you have one. There you go. Awesome. Does it look like we rotated our shape 180 degrees? Yeah, it looks exactly like it. Okay, it looks exactly like our picture looked when we turned our paper. All right, so what happened to our points? Let's pick a point. Let's look at C. C is 5, 4. And what did we end up for C prime? Well, here's C prime right here. And what happened to the x, y coordinates? Did they flip? Did x become y and y became x? No. What happened to the x, y coordinates? Well, x became negative. It became the opposite sign. And y became negative. It became the opposite sign also. All right. Last one we're going to do. Now, we are going to do rotate the flag with points A through E another 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, now for a total of 270 degrees. So 270 is how many 90-degree turns? Well, 90 plus 90 plus 90 is 270, okay? So that means we're going to move 1 quadrant here, 2 quadrant, 3 quadrants. So we're going to end up in quadrant, our image is going to end up in quadrant 4, or IV. Okay, that's the Roman numeral. Our preimage is still located in quadrant 1, or I. Okay, so we're going to take our paper, we're going to turn it 270 degrees, so 3 90-degree turns. And so now we're going to write down our coordinates. I'm going to write them over here, otherwise, that's the space that we need for actual image. So I'm going to write down the coordinates over here. Commas and all of them. All right, so now we have our, what looks like it's going to be our rotation, correct? All right, so it looks like B, when I rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, that B prime is going to be located at 4, 2. But what do you notice about quadrant 4? Well, the x values are what? Positive, and the y values are negative. So the y value needs to be -2. All right, looks like C is going to be at 4, 5, but we know the y value has to be negative. It looks like E is going to be at 6, 3. We know the y value has to be negative. And it looks like D is going to be at 6, -6, because we know the y value has to be negative. Okay, now we have all of our points, and we are going to now plot them. So B prime is going to be at 4, -2. I'm going to label as I go so I don't get confused. 4, -5 is going to be C prime. D prime is going to be 6, -3. And E prime is going to be 6, -6. Okay, and A prime, of course, is going to stay the same because that's our point of rotation. That's how we're rotating. Okay, here's my flag part, and here's my pole. Looks like we rotated it. So what happened to our XY coordinates? Well, let's pick C again. 5, 4 went to 4, -5. So what happened to the x value? Well, the x value was 5, and the x value became the y value, and it became negative, and then the y value became the x value, so we have now the y value right here. Alrighty? So my last question for you is, what would be the xy coordinates if we made a 360-degree turn? Well, what happens when you turn all the way around? Does anything happen to your original position? No. So it's just going to become xy and say something along the lines of, we're back to the original position, or we're back to where we started. Or a full turn. Okay? All right, good job today, guys.